You were there yesterday.
Yes.
You were there when Trevon Diggs made the pick. They actually showed you on the big screen just before it happened. First of all, did you know that you were on the big screen, and what was your reaction when he made that pick?
Well, I was yesterday I was the community legend of the game. So every home game, the Cowboys always introduce someone that, played back in the day. And just so happened it was my day. You talk about perfect timing. I mean, they could have picked me for game 4. They could have picked me for game 2, but they just happened to pick me for this one just as Diggs is getting off this year. And so they had just introduced me right after the Cowboys' first drive. And once I stood up and, making some jokes around the people around me, just clowning, acting silly because we were ready for a good game. And before I even sat down, I see the ball has already been launched in the air. And I just knew that they weren't stupid enough to come at him already. So you look at this information, I said, okay, that would have been pretty embarrassing if they would have introduced me and yet toasted Diggs. That would not have been good. But it just turned out the other way, which was very cool because, I don't know if you guys were quite in tune, but the crowd was kind of listless until Diggs got that pick. And after that, it was over, brother. It was over. It was over.
Absolutely amazing. Krell goes crazy, like you said. He makes the pick. It ties your record. Here's a thing. I don't know if you knew. I'm sure you knew this. Nobody in the NFL, now you did this 40 years ago, Nate, 81. Nobody in the NFL had 11 picks, let alone the franchise record for the Cowboys. Nobody. Dion, name the great cornerbacks. Nobody had 11. They might have been the interception leader for that season, but nobody but you had 11 up until Trevon yesterday.
Well, what I told Trevon, I actually talked to him on an interview today. And the only person that has more than me besides Night Train, Dick Night Train Lane, I think was Lester Hayes. I could be wrong about that, but I know that Lester Hayes has 13 picks, right? We can't let a brother with Stickum all over his uniform continue to hold an interception record, okay? So I told Diggs he's got to get 13. He's got the gloves on. That's kind of cheating a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I get when you see my picture, you don't see my picture with gloves on. I'm gloveless. But these young kids these days, they want to be OBJ. Everybody want to be OBJ. So the gloves themselves, that is enough. So I actually picked him to have 13 picks before the season started. And so I'm still looking for that to happen.
Now, you mentioned Lester Hayes. He did get 13. That was in 80. That was the year before you got your 11. So, like I said, Dick Night Train Lane got his playing for Detroit in the 1950s. I want to say it was 1950 itself. Then Lester Hayes got 13 in 1980. You got 11 in 81. Nobody has had even 11 since you until Trevon did it yesterday. The question is, like you said, you want him to get past this 13. Do you think you can do it? You got 2 games left.
Yeah, the reason I think he'll do it is the same reason that I was able to do it. Whenever Tom Landry was in his smartest mode, he let my front 4 go. He took out that flex crap. That's for Jim Brown, man. There's no Jim Brown playing when we were back in the 80s. So they were trying to light me up. So all my thing was let my defensive lineman go so that the quarterback wouldn't have so much time with play action. And that's the reason that Diggs himself, I think, will get it. I think he'll get at least 12 simply because that front 5, that front 7, the front 7 is amazing. And they're bringing so much heat. I told someone on the podcast, I said, it's like they're like the Lakers Showtime, Everyone is all about speed, and once someone gets their hands on the ball, it's a fast break, and they're trying to take it to the house. So just seeing their attitude, They're different from the way we were with Mike Downs and myself back in '81. These guys are younger. They're faster. You know what I mean? They were highly heralded coming from other places, and so that's what I like about them. And their youth on their front seven. That's something that we did not have. We had greatness with Harvey, with Ed, with Randy, but we didn't have that youth and enthusiasm that they have up front. It's very contagious, and so you have Diggs back there trolling the backfield in the back, and all you have is it's what you call the inevitable. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It is a blast to watch. The great Everson Walls joining us here on the Nosebleed Seats on 105.3 The Fan. It is wild because the most recent player to even have 10 in a season was Champ Bailey in 2006. So for you, and you have this single-season Cowboys record at 11, as the years have gone by, have you kind of been sitting at home thinking, this record might never get broken? What's this year been like for you?
Every year. I'm like the Dolphins, waiting on someone to lose. I've been watching my 11 picks every year. And I was joking today. There have been several years I've beaten the entire Cowboys team in turnovers, and I just thought that was ridiculous. And it wasn't anything to be proud of. I thought it was a shame because we had a culture here back in 1981, and we didn't see that culture before '81. It wasn't until Mel Renfro and Herb Adderley, Cornell Green, that you had guys back there just balling in the secondary. So for us to lose that culture after the 80s and not even get back to it, I mean, they had good defenses in the 90s. I mean, these guys had speed as well. But when you have a culture of getting large numbers of interceptions, if you go back to 81 and even 1985, and you look at the turnovers that we had, even these guys can't compare to that. I mean, and that's saying a lot because you have some playmakers on this current Cowboys team. So you look at Michael Downs, myself, Dennis Thurman, Ron Fellows. That does not ring, playmaker when you first called our names back in the 80s. And the way we came up and the things that we did, they will not be matched simply because no one ever picked our particular group to be that talented. Only we saw us coming. No one else saw us coming and saw how good we would be. So when you look at the past, those interceptions really weren't heralded back then. They weren't thinking about the Everson Walls being Defensive Player of the Year, some crap like that. That wouldn't even come out of the Cowboys' mouths. They were not pushing that narrative. And I'm glad to see that we are finally appreciating what turnovers can do for a ball game or for a team, especially one with the offense that we have.
Man, it's absolutely amazing. And that group you guys talking about from the early 80s, I was there for you. It was Thurman's Thieves. That's what they called y'all. Thurman's Thieves.
That's it.
And it was a party.
Even before Thurman's Thieves, they didn't call us that till 85, Chris.
It took a while.
We were already balling for 4 years before someone decided, wow, these guys aren't just getting interceptions because they have a good front line. The Cowboys had that same front line for about 3 or 4 years before we got there.
Yeah. In the 70s.
It must not be that damn easy.
Hey, real quick. We talk about how Trevon leads the league in interceptions. He also leads the league in passes broken up. Mm-hmm. People don't give him credit for that. They always talk about all these yards that he gives up. Do you think next season, because all the tape they'll have on him now, that they won't throw that side? In other words, he may be more of a shutdown corner. Deion made that. Deion's the ultimate shutdown corner because they didn't even throw his way. They're like, no, we're not going to risk that.
His way, and he was on his way out the league, and they still wouldn't throw his way. So,
yeah,
that was pretty crazy. But no, I think he'll still get those balls thrown his way. In '81, I had that situation coming at me, and then after that, they weren't coming nearly as much, of course, because of the numbers I put up. But I was still able to lead the league a couple more times. So I still see Diggs being able to do that. First of all, he's way faster than I am. And the way that he goes after the ball reminds me so much of guys like myself and Champ Bailey, like you mentioned, that just had wide receiver experience in their background. I think he's not going to need them to keep coming at him in order for him to get picks. That's the same way it was with me. Right now, he's going to really polish his tools. He's going to perfect his technique even more so. And you don't need to see lots of passes coming your way in order to lead the league in interceptions again. I showed that myself.
Everson Walls with us here on 105.3 The Fan. The Cowboys defense on fire right now. They have two of the top three leading candidates to be Defensive Player of the Year in Micah Parsons and, of course, Trevon Diggs. Which way are you leaning if you had a vote here?
Dun, dun, dun.
Come on, Chris. Don't do that, man. I would have to say a guy like Michael Parsons, I've never seen except for maybe Derek Thomas and Lawrence Taylor. I mean, you've got a lot of guys, great linebackers that were out there that put up numbers, Hall of Fame guys, Bobby Bell, okay? But the way that this young man is doing it, being one of the fastest guys on your team, and I think what stands him apart from other great linebackers is that he can come not from the left or the right, but he can also come up the middle. He can play middle linebacker. And we've never seen a linebacker used in such a diverse manner. And so that's what puts him over the top in regards to Defensive Player of the Year. I'd love for Diggs to get it because interceptions really need to be heralded more than they are. To have the ability to play defensive back and go from playing defense to offense, to me, that's a skill that they hold to be underrated. But when you start looking at a guy like Parsons, who can close the gap so quickly, and I've never seen anyone that can go from hike to sack so quickly. So yeah, I'd put my money on Parsons.
I like the way you put that. And by the way, for those who don't know, your words speak volumes because not only did you play against Lawrence Taylor, you played in the same defense with Lawrence Taylor, and you know what that man can do. So are these comparisons unfair or are they fair? I mean, you just explained the skill set.
Fair. No, they are very fair. No, Michael Parsons, both guys, Diggs and Parsons. But when we're sticking with the Parsons topic, like I said, I played with LT. LT got me the 6 interceptions I got in New York when I was there. LT got me every one of them. Okay, let me just be clear. So Parsons is that guy that can even do more than that. He's as heralded, and to me, what makes him more diverse when you have to look for him not just to the left or the right, but now you're also looking down the middle. He can play the run just as good as the pass. And that is exceptional. You just don't find many that can play the run, and then you can put him on the defensive line, and he can rush like Lawrence Taylor. That hasn't happened yet, guys. It just hasn't happened yet. He's the first to me that I can recall.
And then he's breaking up passes down in the secondary.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you see, I didn't even get there yet.
He's a unicorn, man. Super Bowl champ, 3-time NFL interception leader, Everson Walls with us here on 105.3 The Fan. Everson, thank you so much for giving us some time tonight, and enjoy the remainder of the football season.
I appreciate you guys. Go Cowboys, man. We going to the bowl, baby.